Hello and welcome back to Calculus 2. Oh, actually, that was a wrong intro. Today is the exam review. I'm supposed to go, hi, exam 2 review. Let's see what we can do. I completely forgot to be in the right character for the occasion. Anyway, the chat agreed last week that exam is supposed to be this weekend. The quizzes have been going on my MATLAB for quite some time now. And we had our preliminary exam 2 review on Tuesday. And the goal for today is to work out through any exercises that you might need help with. I was thinking on office hours today for this class, but there is really no need because we are going to have now a stream. And then if there are any questions, I did open extra office hour on Fridays in the evening at 9:30 p.m. So hopefully you can join then if you are missing this today. Exam is going to be on Canvas. It is timed exam, so you don't have time for to research and search the problems and formulas and things. You have to go and answer questions like on a real exam in classroom, because if you just walk into the test, right, you just open the test and you have your notes and book and everything else, it will be, you will not have enough time to find answers and things. So please make sure you are learning these concepts. You can take exam on Fridays or evening, Saturday all day, and Sunday it closes at noon, which means that you must start latest at, let's say, 10:15, right, for 90 minutes, so you are comfortable, right? 10:15 a.m. latest to start on Sunday. The Saturday it's open 24 hours, obviously, and Friday it opens at noon, and then it goes throughout the rest of the day. So the exam is open for 48 hours, but it's noon to noon. So please make sure that you are taking the exam. Now it's Canvas exam, which means you are not going to have interruption of service and all of these issues with servers with my MATLAB. So you're either taking the exam or you're not. There are no excuses there. If you have any questions right now, I see 10 of you watching. Please type them in the chat. You can give me the page from the book. You can give me the location of my MATLAB, right, problem. I do have through study plan, we have access to all chapters and sections, and if something is not appropriate for the test from my MATLAB because it might be really long to compute, it requires technology or something like that, I'll just say we're skipping this, and we're not skipping it as a concept, we're skipping it as the calculation is way too long and annoying, or it has numbers in thousands and things like that. All of that is avoided on the test. So again, you will go to Canvas and you will find your exam there starting tomorrow. No. You are working on it the same way like you are working on my MATLAB. You will open the exam. The question is, do we have to print the exam? No. You can have scrap paper and you can you can send the pictures if you want of your work in the email. That's okay. If you think that you might score more on partial credit and stuff like that, you can do that. But you will be typing your answers into Canvas the same way you're typing your answers in my MATLAB. Now, the Canvas will not tell you, luckily, right? It will not tell you the grade and stuff like that, which is good, because I still need to look into partial credit. I need to look into the quizzes and everything else. So you can open the Canvas file on your phone, or you can open the file on your computer, tablet, and so on. Well, when you are done with the test, you just upload the pictures if you want that. Is it unlimited? No, it's an exam. What do you mean unlimited tries? It's exam. So one shot, 90 minutes, and when 90 minutes is up, the exam closes, and that's it. Whatever you have done, you're done. Again, you cannot plan on cheating by, I'm going to have all my notes and everything, because you will not have time to search for similar examples, and you just need to know and just do it like on the regular exam. If you are not having time for the test, that simply means you just don't know things, and you were wasting time looking for reference materials, you were wasting time looking for formulas, you were wasting time looking for similar examples, you were wasting time going online to find the answers and things like that. All of that is waste of time on the exam. This exam is not open book, open notes. This is, right, if you're doing this the right way, you already know the material, or you are prepping to know the material. You open the file, you just write it out, and you are done. That's all it is. Yes, that's the idea, Chris. So once the exam is over, then you can email me the files in the just a regular email, Canvas email, because I have to check all of that stuff anyway every day. We have updates and things, and even though I have 10,000 emails, my hope is that you will put in a subject something that will stand out in terms of Calc 2, Exam 2 work, or something like that, right? So that I can find. You are not creating the questions. I have rarely created a question in my life. We use test banks and things like that. The questions that you see on my exam are also the questions that are on the homework in my MATLAB. They're just worded differently than the my MATLAB, but it's the same topics. So the exam is created by the exam generator, because I need to make sure that the time that it's allocated for the exam is the time that is appropriate for the number of problems. I have to use that tool. Please remember that I can't use myself to measure this. I can solve this maybe in 15-20 minutes, right? And then it might take you 90, because you're just learning, right? Once you catch up with me, 15 years doing this nonsense, then you will be able to do it, right? I've been doing this stuff for 15 years every single day. Clearly it's gonna take me 15-20 minutes. So I can't measure the length of the exam by solving it myself. I have to use the software which tells me on average students will take 1 hour and 5 minutes. I'm shooting for exam to be between 1 hour and 1 hour and 5 minutes for solving, leaving 25 minutes to 20, because exam is 90 minutes long. I should have put it an hour 20 like a regular class, right? But No, I put an hour 30, so 90 minutes, and I am shooting for exam to be 1 hour to 105, so 60 to 65 minutes, leaving you 20 to 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes to check. Again, I had students in other classes who tried to, beat the system because, this is online now, this is, testing is online, so I don't have to worry about this. I just, day before copy all the formulas, and all of the grades were in 20s and 30s. That's the best they could do. So you need quality knowledge. You need to just show up, do the test, and really minimum time waste, which is looking into reference and stuff, because you won't have time to solve anything. Do you guys have any problems? I already went through chapters and topics and all of this stuff that will be covered. Can I email you picture examples for review? Yes. I am ready to open email. I am ready to jump into study plan, and I am ready to also read the chat. So I have all of the windows open and tabs open and everything. So whatever means of sending info, let me just so it is okay to send me the email. Even Minecraft is open in the background. I'm farming gunpowder. See, that's let me see how's that going. Nice. So everything is going according to my evil plan. Getting these garbage emails. Just got an email from someone who says, I can teach you how you can have your podcast be without sarcasm. I do want sarcasm. That's what makes everything fun. Alright, so far I have 2 questions. I have one in the email. I have one in the chat. So let's take a look at these 2 questions. Your exam is going to have, so we're starting with the chat question. Came in first. Chat question was on partial fraction decomposition. On exam, you are going to have 2 questions on partial fraction decomposition. One is going to be a complete integral that you have to solve. If it's definite integral, you will compute the number at the end. If it's an indefinite integral, you will have it as a plus c, right? So there will be a question with partial fractions somewhere on the exam that you will have to go all the way, compute everything, right, and be done. The other question on partial fractions will only ask you to set up the a over x plus 3, let's say, and whatever else. So just to set up that with variables and leave it. It will have, in bold letters, it will say, do not solve. Go ahead, try to waste 6 hours solving it and see what happens, okay? All right, so let's start with this exam. Partial fraction decomposition as a 48x squared, where the integral divided by x minus 15. Oh my, this is my MATLAB 100%. Look at this. X plus 5. Once I put x minus 15 over here, and a 48 up there. All right. So first off, we can kick 48 outside of the integral, and we don't have to worry about it ever again until the very last step. when we put plus c, right? The next part inside, we have a linear factor, so a over x minus 15. I need that parenthesis there. Plus, and then I have two repeated linear, which means b over x plus 5 plus c over x plus 5 squared, and then dx at the end. So this is my setup. And for the question that says do not solve, you are done, right? If it says do not solve, this is all I need right here. That's it. But this one we have to solve. Therefore, we have a over x minus 15 plus b over x plus 5 plus c over x plus 5 squared. And we multiply by what's missing. The last one is easy, x minus 15, and we walk away. The first one is x plus 5 squared, top and bottom. And the one in the middle is another x plus 5 and x minus 15. So this is going to give us some terrifying values to work with, but such is life. So we don't have to worry about denominators anymore. We just worry about the numerator and equal it to just x squared. We don't have to worry about 48 because 48 was kicked in front of the integral. So my a is going to be multiplied by this parenthesis squared, becomes ax squared plus 10ax for the middle term plus 25a. Usually you forget the middle term if you're skipping steps, and then the whole thing goes to hell. Plus, now I have to FOIL this mess and multiply with b. Now that's going to be bx squared minus 10bx minus 75b, and then we have plus cx minus 15c equal to x squared alone. So I'm going to have equation for x squared, equation for x, and equation for constant. All of the x squares on a pile will give me a plus b equals to 1, because I have a 1x squared on this side. I know that the problem says 48x squared, but I kicked 48 out. We can do that because 48 is multiplied. If we had 48x squared plus 3, let's say, then you can't plug 48, right? Kick 48 out. Now I need all of the x terms. I like to circle them so I can easily write the equation, which is 10a minus 10b plus c equals to 0, because there is no x term on the right side with x squared. And finally, constant term are the ones without x's. That's this one, and that one. So I'm going to have 25a minus 75b minus 15c equals 0. I can reduce this one by 5 to make the equation a little bit easier. If this was 30, we could divide it by 15, but such is life, right? So the first equation is a plus b equals 1. The second equation cannot be reduced because c doesn't have a 10, right? So there's always, one of these to spoil the party. So 10a minus 10b plus c equals 0. And now this one is going to be reduced by 5 when I divide by 5. So that's 5a minus 15b minus 3c equals to 0. Now looking at to solve this system, the fastest way is to kill the c in a second term. Why are the numerators a and c only multiplied by a single term? I believe you are talking over here. My least common denominator is given by x minus 15 x plus 5 squared. When I compare what's in a black to what's in purple, I have to multiply each individual term exactly by what is missing when I compare black and purple. So if you compare this A term with the purple, black and purple, you see that you are missing x plus 5 squared. You are missing those two terms, and so on. So that's the common denominator business. All right, going back to this, I'm going to multiply middle equation by 3 and add to the last equation to kill c's. So I have a plus b equals 1 from the first equation, and the second equation is 35a plus 15b. C's are dead, equals to 0. So this is 30 plus 5 is 35. This is a negative 30 plus 15. No, negative 30. Negative 30 minus 15. Negative 30 minus 15. See, that was wrong. So that's negative 45b. And then 3c plus minus 3c, that's a 0. And then I have a 0. So now my system is this. I still can divide by 5, make it a little bit easier. A plus b equals 1. And then 7a minus 9b equals to 0. Whatever, multiply top by 9, I guess. It doesn't really matter. Then I have 16a equals 9. A equals 9 over 16. If a is 9 over 16, and then a plus b needs to be 1, then b must be 7. No. Yeah, 7 over 16, because 9 plus 7 is 16. 16 over 16 is 1. Cool. So I have a and b. Then I go and I look for an equation that has a single c. And that's this 10a equation. So 10a minus 10b. How about we say c equals negative plus. There we go. So c is equal to negative 10 times a. So that's going to be, we can cancel with 16 by 2. So 5 times 9 is 45 eighths. Because when I do here times 10, right? These guys will cancel. Give me an 8 over here and a 5. That's a 45. So 45 eighths, and it's negative. Same thing goes for b. It's going to be a plus, and then it's going to be 35 over 8 for a total of negative 10 over 8 for a total of negative 5 fourths. So I have the integral. A was 9. Oh, there's a 48 in front. See, I almost forgot that. So a is 9 over 16 divided by x. What was that nonsense? Minus 15. Minus 15 plus b, which is 7 over 16, x plus 5, if I remember. And then finally minus 5 over 4 divided by x plus 5 squared dx. These need to be in parentheses. So now I am going to well, let's copy one more time. 48. I could have just pulled the 4. Let's do that. Pull the 4. That becomes a 12. And then I have 9 quarters. Actually, I can integrate. 9 quarters ln of x minus 15 plus 7 quarters ln of x plus 5 and minus 5 only. And now we have to do the u sub over here. U equals x plus 5, du equals dx. So integral of 1 over u squared du. That is going to be negative 1 over u. So it's 5 over, and the negative makes it a positive, and we get 1 over x plus 5 plus c. Multiply through or cancel the 12 where we can. So that cancels, gives me a 3. So 3 times 9, 27 ln x minus 15 gives me another 3. That's a 21 ln x plus 5 plus 60 over x plus 5 plus c. So let's say this is good because the numbers were really annoying. But the types of integrals you can get are either ln integrals like this, or this U-substitution integrals, or inverse tangent integral, right? So those are the types that you can get in these partial fraction problems. This video is staying as right, is staying as a video on YouTube. So just if you didn't catch something now, in interest of time, I'm just going to move to the next problem. I still have 2 problems lined up. You rewatch the video and you know, see what you have missed. The next problem was the one that has infinity, which means it's an improper integral. It says 6 over x squared secant squared 1 over x dx. So secant squared term is going to give us a 4. So this is 24 over x technically when you plug the numbers just as original function. Clearly the problem is where the infinity is, because 6 over infinity is 0, and secant squared would give us a 0, which gives us 1 actually. So I can smell convergence, but again we should compute the whole problem and see whether it converge or diverge. So we start by using the limit. The b is going to infinity because that's the upper limit, and we have 4 over pi going to b. Now you can kick 6 in front of the integral and just have 1 over x squared secant squared 1 over x dx. And now we just, yeah, choice of words, we just integrate and that's it, right? Do the limit and, you know, just those two. So this is a U-substitution because I have a function and its derivative outside, which is perfectly lined up for what we need. My u is 1 over x, and my du, right, is going to be, since this is a minus 1, is going to drop down as a negative, becomes negative 1 over x squared dx. I don't have a negative, so I'm going to put the negative, that's the blue negative that I need. And we are going to go back into b, so we don't have to drag all of this. So negative 6, limit b goes to infinity, and I'm going to leave my 4 over pi and infinity, b, even though I should change them. I'm going to go back into x's to compute this. But my whole problem now here becomes secant squared u du. And that is a basic integral, right? Integral of secant squared is a basic tangent. So we are going to have negative 6 limit b goes to infinity. And now I have my tangent of u, which is 1 over x, computed from 4 over pi to b. That's -6, limit b goes to infinity, and now I have tangent 1 over b minus tangent of pi over 4, because 1 over 4 over pi is pi over 4. And now this is where we just, plug these values in. We have -6 times. The 1 over b is 1 over infinity. That's a 0, tangent of 0, minus tangent of pi over 4. That is -6, 0 minus 1, and the answer should be 6. So you should be able to find this problem in a study plan. And yeah. No, Minecraft server is not down. I'm logged on right now. Why are you taking this down? Now I have to check the server. Yeah, looks good. I'll restart. Subdomain does nothing. Okay, I'll fix that later. I'll fix that later. All right, so let's go. I have another question that is in the chat. My MATLAB 8416. I'm going to study plan, chapter 8, 8.4, trigonometric substitutions, 8.4.16. There we go. For this trig sub, let's see. All right. Now, the numbers that I see on my end might be different than the numbers you see on your end, because it does the random number generation, and you don't even want to know what kind of nightmare I'm going through for differential equations. I gave them the exam in my MATLAB, so I received 30 plus exams, and they all have different numbers. They're all different. I can't have a solution key. I have to solve 30 exams literally for partial credit. So okay, let's go. So this is the question 8416 that was in the 8416 from the chat. And the problem says, oops, I lost it, sorry, there we go. Integral, again, numbers might be different, but it's the same setup. 7x squared dx divided by 169 plus x squared, everything squared. All right, I'm going to now switch back to chat so I can see you. Good, so now let's go. Kick the 7 outside. It's not going to contribute to our integral. We have x squared divided by 169 plus x squared squared dx. It is a trig sub question because we have these squared values. We are going to draw the triangle. Again, if you memorize those formulas from the book and you're doing it that way, that's fine. All I need is a correct answer at the end. Whatever way, just get it done. Now, we are talking about plus, which means these two values are legs. We'll put x here and 13 over here. Square root of 169 is 13. And we'll have a square root of 169 plus x squared on the hypotenuse. We'll have a red pair, and the red pair is simply going to be tangent. Tangent theta is x over 13, from where x is equal to 13 tangent theta, and immediately dx is 13 secant squared theta d theta. So we will also need x squared, which is 169 tangent squared theta. So I will need x squared to plug in there, and I need dx to plug in there. Now all I need to do is to solve the blue pair over here. And that one is my cosine theta, which works out to be 13 over the square root, which means that the square root is equal to 13 over cosine theta. And 1 over cosine is a secant, so square root of 169 plus x squared is equal to 13 secant theta. Now, I have to raise both sides to the 4th power. And I'm raising it to the 4th power because, hold on, let me just put it this way. I'm raising it to the 4th power because 4 is 2 times 2. 2 is going to knock off the root, and then the other 2 is the square that we have in a problem. So you have to be careful, right, what you are using to raise this. So now I have 169 plus x squared, everything squared, equals to 13 to the 4th power secant to the 4th power theta. There we go. Now I have everything that I need for my substitution. 7 integral. Instead of x squared, I have, you know what, I'm gonna leave this as 13 squared. So 13 squared tangent squared theta. Instead of dx, I have 13 secant squared theta d theta. And in denominator, I have 13 to the 4 secant squared, no, lies, secant to the 4th theta. When all dust settles over here, we cancel all of these. You are left with 7 over 13 integral, and you get tangent squared theta divided by secant squared theta d theta. Well, this is the bad luck. We needed this to be flipped. Okay, so there are now 2 ways in which you can solve this. Can go to sines and cosines and suffer through that calculation. But boy, oh boy, there is a nice way to deal with this. Actually, wait. This is just sine. Oh, this is way easier than I thought. I'll show you the other boss way, but tangent is sine theta over cosine theta, and secant is 1 over cosine theta, and all of this mess is squared d theta. 7 over 13. So now the cosines simply cancel, and you just end up with a sine squared theta d theta, which we use the formula for, right, to integrate. The boss move that I wanted to do here was to switch this to cosecant cotangent pair, because cotangent is 1 over tangent, so you would end up with a cosecant squared theta over cotangent squared theta, and then you can do the u equals, right, cotangent, so you will get u squared and then du on top, and you can solve it that way. So that's another way to deal with this. That's actually the first thing that I thought of, and then I don't know how, just I guess came to me in a dream. Use the formula. This is the one you had to memorize for Calc 2. Sine squared theta is 1 minus cosine 2 theta over 2. So this over 2 goes outside, makes this 7 over 26 integral of 1 minus cosine 2 theta d theta. and this gives us 7 over 26 theta minus sine 2 theta over 2 plus c. And no, we're not done because we have to go back to x's, right? So 7 over 26, and instead of theta, I can do inverse tangent of x over 13. Inverse tangent of x over 13 minus 7 over 52, because now this fraction distributes to this term, so 26 times 2 is also now part of it. Oh no. No. Leave this as, leave that factor, whatever. This formula here is 2 sine theta cosine theta, and then 2 and 2 will cancel. There we go. So now you go to the triangle, you read your sine, and the sine is x over the square root. You read your cosine, which is going to be 13 over square root plus c. So the answer here is 7 over 26 tangent inverse of x over 13 minus 13x over 169 plus x squared, and all of that plus c. Woohoo! So this should be the answer now, obviously being that's my MATLAB. Good luck. Right, that's the actual. Oh, another trig sub. I see what the. But this one has limits to compute. That's nice. We have integral 0 to 4. X squared divided by 64, square root of 64 minus x squared dx. I know, Chaz, it is awful. I said I'll restart the server as soon as I get to it. All right. So one more trig question, and this one will have there we go. Theta. I know. I just wanted to, I just try to, to entertain myself and others if they care. We have a subtraction. So we only have subtraction when you have c squared minus s squared and c squared minus b squared. So the first value is definitely hypotenuse, so hypotenuse is 8. And this could be x, and this will be your square root of 64 minus x squared. So we are going to have our two functions again. We're going to have this one, which is a sine, and this one, which is a cosine. Let's go with the red one. Sine theta is going to be x divided by 8. So x is equal 8 sine theta, and we immediately find dx as 8 cosine theta d theta. Move to the blue equation, which is cosine theta. And that is going to be square root of 64 minus x squared divided by 8. So the square root of 64 minus x squared is equal to 8 cosine theta. So I am going to need x squared. And I learned my lesson earlier, so I'm just going to leave this as squares because we are going to, eventually cancel stuff. So just leave it as squares. Now, depending on, what level of a boss you are, you might be converting limits as well, and then just solving this in theta and be done with the problem. Now, being that I am, boss level, well, I'm the final boss, then I am going to convert the limits, right? So here's the boss corner over here. I'm going to use sine theta equals x over 8 to convert my theta limits. So my first limit is a 0. So I have sine theta equals 0 over 8, which is sine theta is 0. So clearly theta is 0 because sine of 0 is 0. So bottom limit is 0. The other limit is 4. So that's going to be sine theta is 4 over 8. That's sine theta is 1/2. And that happens when theta is pi over. Very good. So I converted my limits into pi's. I'm going to convert my equations into pi's. And then that's it. Just keep moving. X squared is 8 squared sine squared theta. Divided by the square root is 8 cosine theta. And all of this is d theta. So we are going to have these guys cancel. 1/8 survives, goes outside, 0, pi over 6. And now we have this terrible integral of sine squared theta over cosine theta d theta. So again, if this was flipped, if cosine was on top, it would be just a very, very basic U sub. You would be done instantly. But it's not, right? So I have to use different type of witchcraft here. We will use Pythagorean theorem to turn this into 1 minus cosine squared theta. Dx has 8 cosine theta, so they cancel. Oh, that's... yes, you are right. I am wrong. I completely forgot to change dx. So I have my x squared on top, and then dx will have 8 cosine theta d theta. I completely forgot about that. And that will kill the cosine and make this problem way easier. The other problem over there was also, you saw that, you just use that identity and then the cosine would divide and make it a secant, and so we will be done in the next step. But okay, this is actually correct now. Previous one was wrong. So we only have 64 integral 0 to pi over 4 of sine squared is the only thing that survives here. And we use the same formula. So 32 integral 0 to pi over, it's pi over 6, not pi over 4. Pay attention. 1 minus cosine 2 theta d theta equals to, I'm just going to just do it, because we just did the same problem right here. Same calculation with the sine squared. So, same steps. I don't see any other questions in chat right now, so I will wait. There is another email wondering how's the school handling testing. It's not. School is not handling testing at all. It's just online. It's just nonsense. It's just frustrating as hell. I just hope that people are taking this seriously, at least the courses that actually, count and you guys are going to actually need the stuff. If you are not learning Calc 2 and you are planning on just passing this course, but you have to take DiffEqs, you're done. There's another question, great. This course, you have to know it. Improper integral, secant 11x tangent 11x from 0 to pi over 22. I love it. It says my MATLAB written all over it. It's amazing. I am going to immediately use, and there is a dx over here. I'm immediately going to use a U-sub, even though I shouldn't use U-sub, we can just do it. But, what the hell? U equals 11x. It's really, whatever. And then du equals 11 dx. And I don't have that 11, so I'll put 11 and 1 over 11 in front. So 1 over 11 integral of secant u, tangent u, du, and now the limits. So u1 is 11 times 0, which is 0, so bottom limit is 0. And a u2 is 11 times pi over 22, which spits out pi over 2. And there's the problem. Right there is a problem. Tangent is, it's secant too. What do we have? If you graph tangent, you have vertical asymptotes at negative pi over 2 and positive pi over 2. This is the one that goes to infinity. So we definitely have, kick the 1 over 11 in front of the limit. We definitely have limit as b goes to pi over 2 from the left. And integral 0 to pi over 2 of secant u tangent u du. So this is a definite integral. And it's improper. Now, secant is 1 over cosine. So the graph of secant is easily obtained from the graph of cosine. If this is your cosine, you draw vertical asymptotes wherever cosine hits 0, because your secant is 1 over cosine. And when cosine is 0, you will have asymptote for secant. So secant will go up and have this bump here, and like that, right? So that's your secant graph. You can remove the cosine at that point and just look at the secant, and you see that secant is also problematic at pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. Right, so this is some basic pre-calc 2, right, trig stuff. So we see that we have issues at pi over 2, and we see that 0 is fine. Tangent goes through 0 nicely, has a value of 0. Secant goes through 1. So they both have defined values, so we have nothing to worry about in terms of those. I have 1 over 11. Limit b goes to pi over 2 from the left. And secant tangent, the integral of that is just secant u. And we changed our limits, so I don't have to go back to x or whatever the old variable was. I can just plug right here and deal with this. And we see that it's divergent, right? Because we ended up with a secant, and as you are approaching secant on pi over 2, it blows up. So 1 over 11, limit b goes to pi over 2 from the left, and you have secant b minus secant of 0. So this one is going to blow up because that's this. And secant of 0 is just 1. So what you get is just infinity. So divergent. Cool. Oh, another one. Nice. Beautiful. Integration by parts on my email. So, integral of, you can even kick 5 outside, x e to the 4x dx. For integration by parts, we set up u dv, and then we calculate du and v. For e questions, we are using the polynomial for u because differentiation will kill it. Right, you just get dx here. And e to the 4x is going to be integrated, and you're still going to get e to the 4x over 4. So that doesn't change much. We put our trusty arrow that gives us the formula, or you cheat, right, and just have the formula ready. 5, and then we have 1/4 x e to the 4x minus 1/4 integral e to the 4x dx and we get 5 over 4x e to the 4x minus, when I integrate I get 1 over 16 e to the 4x plus c. Oh, and this is a 5 here because the 5 distributes. Ta-da! The only time you flip this, right, is when you have ln. You can't integrate ln, so you would put ln here and the polynomial in here. Because polynomial you can integrate, you can differentiate, right, do whatever you want with the polynomial. Ln is not a basic function for integration. You have to actually use integration by parts to figure out the formula for integrating ln. So it's a little bit tricky. So again, your exam is on Canvas. You will go, you will open when you are ready with the 90 minutes of uninterrupted time, you open the exam and you start solving the problems as fast as you can on the pieces of paper. When the time is up or you submitted it earlier than 90 minutes, the exam will close automatically. It will save all your work that you completed up to that point, and you will do the and then you will take the pictures, and if you care, you don't have to, you will take the pictures and you will send those pictures to me in the email, and you have to put subject line so I can find it, something like test Calc 2, Exam 2 work, or partial credit, or whatever you want to put. If you don't put any work, then all I can do is grade right or wrong. If you send me your work, then I'll have to open all of those files and actually look for partial credit if any of the problems are wrong. If x was x squared in this particular problem, yes, you would do another, very good, you would do another integration by parts. So the first integration by parts would knock it down to a single x, and then the second integration by parts would solve the problem throughout. No, you just type it in a box, pretty much like what you see here in this chat. Apparently there is a toolbar. Guys, I don't know. I don't know. Canvas is only for us 1 year old at RV, right? So this is my first year using it, and I haven't used Canvas for the last 2 years because it was new and I always wait for them to iron out the bugs. I was using Google to drop the files down and all of that stuff, right? So I started using Canvas this year, and I am forced to use it now. Otherwise I wouldn't care about it at all, but now we have to use it. So you're going to have a line. I think question answers are formatted to essay answers. So you will have no input whether you did the problem right or wrong, just like on a real test, right? In classroom test, you solve the test, you give the test, and that's it. Now, those of you who care, obviously, you can integrate your problem, and then because you care, you differentiate your answer and make sure that you have a correct integration because the derivative matched the original problem. You can do that. Generally 1% of the students do it, which is a third of one of you in a class. So there you go. I mean, third of one person in class. It's an empty text box, yes. Empty text box, and you just type in your answer. I don't want to tell you to type in all of the problem in there, because depending on how fast you type, depending on if you are typing on the phone or typing on a tablet or typing on a computer, you might take 30 minutes to type up 2 problems, right? And then you're doomed for the rest. So no, right? Don't do that. There is a thing to insert the equation, yes. So you will either write it linearly, but when you write the equation linearly, you have to be very careful which way you put the parentheses, because I do speak PEMDAS language, right? In chat, we have a couple of questions posed, and then they had the division, and there were no extra set of parentheses. I was assuming correctly, that both of the terms, if you go all the way up, right, to the first question asked, first math question with a partial fraction question, integrate with a 48x squared, those two need to be in parentheses on the bottom because they both need to be divided into. The way it's written here, computer would completely misread this. Computer would just say first parenthesis divided by the second parenthesis, and then everything times. So the computer and anyone else who does the PEMDAS, so you would have to put the extra set of parentheses if you're using linear. But they do have the text editor to insert equations, so just use that to match. All right, we're supposed to do partial fraction decomposition on the problem here, and this is a nice one. Thank you for not going crazy over here with this. We have x plus 5, x plus 6. All right, so my setup, a over x, it's linear, plus b over x plus 5, it's linear, plus c over x plus 6, linear. So these are the three case ones. It's going to end up with the three equations, right? Because we have three variables, and we just go through calculation very quickly, right? So what our common denominator is already here. There's nothing special going on. There's no squares or anything. So each one of these will be multiplied by the other two that are missing. So the first one is multiplied by x plus 5, x plus 6, because that's what's missing. The one in the middle is multiplied by x plus 6. And the one at the end is multiplied by x plus 5. So now if you take a look, every denominator has all three. And obviously that governs what we are multiplying on top. It has to multiply the same. So what do I have? I have a times this mess. So that's going to be ax squared plus 11ax plus 30a when I FOIL and multiply by a, plus bx squared plus 6bx when I multiply and multiply by b, and finally plus cx squared plus 5cx. Good. All of that needs to be equal to 6x squared minus 7x plus 30. We will have x squared equation. We will have x equation. We'll have a constant equation. X squared is a plus b plus c equals 6. That's x squared equation. And then x. So 11a plus 6b plus 5c equals negative 7. And constant, no x, that's it. Nice. 30a equal 30. Oh yes, a equals 1. Woo! So if a is equal 1, then b plus c is 5. Right? When a is 1, you subtract 1 on both sides. And then we have 11. So 6b plus 5c is going to be negative 18. We can multiply top by negative 5 and add equations. And look what happens. 6b minus 5b is going to be single b. C is die. Negative 25 plus negative 18 is negative 43. And now to calculate C, we use 6 minus A minus B. That's 6 minus 1 plus 43 is 48, I hope. So, partial fraction decomposition is A over X, that's 1 over X, plus, no, minus, lies, minus 43 over X plus 5, plus 48, X plus 6. So this was just partial fraction decomposition. The question that I see in my email did not have any integration. Now, if there was any, well, yeah, what the hell, we can do it. Orange. If there is an integral, you have to have these parentheses because you need to integrate every term, and this would be just very cheap. ln of x minus 43 ln of x plus 5 plus 48 ln of x plus 6 plus c. Just because we can. I mean, if I had to spend more than 15 seconds, then we have excuse not to do it. All right. Oh, another one in the email. Let's see. Numerical integration. Find the indicated trapezoid rule approximation to the following integral, blah, blah, blah. N equals 8. Yeah, no way in hell I'm going to do this. I'm just going to say n equals to 4. Yeah, 4. That's too much too, but 4. So 8, 8, 22, but n equals 4, not 8, because lazy. Integral 1 to 2 e to the x dx with n equals to 4. That means that my interval from 1 to 2 is cut into 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. The values that I need to use are in here. So now I need quarters. 1 is 4 quarters, so this must be 5 quarters, then 6 quarters, then 7 quarters, then 8 quarters. There we go. So I have my x0, x1, x2, x3, x4, which creates the partition. Trapezoid rule, we are doing T4. My MATLAB is asking you for T8 because they know you have time. T4 is going to be delta x divided by 2. And then over here we have f of x0 plus 2f of x1 plus 2f of x2 plus 2f of x3 plus single f of x4. Formula for delta x, which you need to know from Calc 1, was b minus a divided by n. In our case, that's 2 minus 1 over 4 equals to a half. No, quarter. Quarter. There we go. All right. So T4 is 1/4 divided by 2. That's going to give us an eighth. And then I have e to the 1 plus 2e to the 5 over 4 plus 2e to the 3 halves plus 2e to the 7 quarters plus single e squared. T4 is 1 over 8. And now round to the 3 decimal places. So we can just run 4 decimal places and then, run 4 decimal places and then at the end, just round it back. So, well, we all know what E is, right? 2.1828. So 718, and we'll put 3 plus 2 times e raised to the 5 quarters. That's 1.25. Gives me 6.9807. I'm keeping 4 decimals so that I can round it to 3 later. 2e to the, so 2 times e to the 1.5, that's 3 halves, gives me 8.9634. If you know how to use the table feature and the table set, you can make it to, plug in the function and so on, can give you all of the values in one chart, so you don't have to poke through the calculator for each one of these. But again, that's if you know the calculator. I'm just going to poke. 1.75 is 11.5092. And finally, plus e squared, which is 3891. There we go. We add all of these values, divide by 8, round to 3 decimals, because that's what my MATLAB is asking us to do. And that's it. 2.7183 plus 6.9807 plus 8.9634 plus 11.5092 plus 7.3891, close parenthesis, divide everything by, divide everything by 8. What syntax? Oh, oops. I forgot to open the parenthesis before all of the stuff that I did. Okay, whatever. Did this, divide by 8. So T4 should give us 4.695 if you round to 3 decimals. As what they, that's what they're asking in a 3, in my MATLAB. They say do the 3 decimals. So there it is. All right, he's there. Is there anything else? I haven't gotten any questions on differential equations. We have a separation of variables. We had the word problems with population or acceleration and all of that stuff. No one asked any diff EQs. I haven't. So we did have everything from integration, including improper. We now had this one, numerics. Yeah, I think we beat chapter 8 to death with this. The only stuff that you guys didn't ask is chapter 9. The rest of the stuff we did at least one problem each. Partial fractions, I think we did 3. Trig sub 2. 1 numerical, 1 by parts. We used the U sub 2 or 3 times already. So I think we are pretty good, you know. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. If you have questions, I'm going to sit it. How many of these types of questions will there be? Now I'm going to give you a very smart answer. These types of questions, meaning the questions you are asking in chat, 0, right? Math questions, yeah, you are going to have all of them, right? All of the sections. You know that you have to see. The trick is that these things combine together, right? So most of the questions will have U sub naturally, right? But then we have a question that is, let's say, improper integral. Improper integral can have any type of integration, right? The improper integral doesn't have to be U sub. It can be partial fraction decomposition. It could be trig sub. It could be, right? We did have the mixture, right? So they mix together. And also they mix into differential equations. When you say, let's do separation of variables from 9.3. Well, when you separate your variables, you integrate both sides. Well, how about on one side, you have a U sub, and on the other side, you have a trig sub, or partial fraction decomposition, or something, right? So when you are dealing with these, with the problems, this is what I said, right? If you don't know Calc 2, differential equation is going to be impossible. For many reasons. Many reasons. Calc 3 needs chapter 12 from Calc 2. So you have to have quality knowledge. Your grades are completely irrelevant in this situation here, especially if they are not accurate representation of your knowledge. So you just show up in differential equations and you just get destroyed completely because you can't integrate or something, right? So you have seen that separation of variables is using integration a lot, and there are a lot of integrals obviously all over differential equations, so, and derivatives too. So you have to know this stuff, right? Can you do the problem from the book? I hope I can. Just which one? You remember, guys, you were supposed to tell me the problems, and I solved the problems. Today is a review. Oh, great. You pick a differential. I received the email with the differential equation from the section we didn't cover. We are only working in 9.1 and 9.3. So basic equations that you solve integration and separation of variables. Oh, there's one in chat. So dy dx is equal to y x squared plus 3. So this is one of the separation of variables. Which is 9.3. We put all of the variables of one kind on one side, dy over y. and the other side gets its x squared plus 3 dx. So when line looks like this, we will say vars are separated. You have x's on one side, y's on the other side. Now I take the same equation. I'm going to actually copy it, and we integrate both sides. So we do the separation of variables. Once we are done with the separation of variables, we integrate both sides. They all have the y's and the x's and so on. So the left-hand side is the ln of y is equal to x cubed over 3 plus 3x plus constant c. You are not allowed to forget plus c in differential equations. So now we e both sides to kill off ln and get y as a function of x equals, this is how we find formulas. And on the other side we have e to the x cubed over 3 plus 3x plus c. Now we're going to use from algebra formula x to the m times x to the n is x to the m plus n, but we are using it backwards, to peel off the plus c term. So y of x is equal to e to the x cubed over 3 plus 3x times e to the c. I'm going to call that new constant k because we can, and we're going to have y of x is equal to k e to the x cubed over 3 plus 3x. So that would be the answer, and this is called general solution because we did not have initial point to calculate k. You need initial point, something like y of 0 is equal to 9 or whatever, and then you can use that point to calculate k, because when you have a point, you have x and you have y, and you plug them everywhere. You have plug your y, you plug your x's over here, right? And then the only unknown quantity would be k, and you can compute that, right? So there are a lot of problems in calculus which would give you, right? All right, let's see what else. Oh, nice. All right, so email question exactly has what I just talked about, initial point. So this is y prime of t. This is nice. I love it. 1 plus e to the t. And then here is the initial condition. So initial condition. We use it to calculate C. So I have my dy dt. I have to use a t as a variable because look, it's e to the t over here. It also says that the independent variable is t over here. So dy dt is equal to 1 plus e to the t. We separate the variables by kicking dt to the right hand side, and then we integrate both sides. Left hand side just becomes y, and we don't have to do anything to it. Woohoo! On the right hand side we have a t plus e to the t plus c. Now, this is general solution. Right, that's the general solution. We have a point initial condition, which we can use to compute the value. So, for C. So now, this condition is y is 15 when t is 0. Plug in. That's what the point means. I mean, you can write the point in like looking like a function like that, or you can write the point as the ordered pair. I don't care. Just get it right. That's 15 equals 0 plus e to the 0 plus c. So c is 14, right? E to the 0 is 1. Take it away from 15. So now I have y of t is t plus e to the t plus 14. And this is our particular solution. The tablet is getting overheated, so tablet is getting overheated. I don't know how much longer we can do this. It started overheating either Thursday last week or Monday this week. I don't know. Recently, it started when it reaches the temperature, because I'm using it all day. I mean, I have multiple classes and then stuff that I also have to finish for the work and department meeting and so on. You know, they're not supposed to be working 10 hours a day, and if this thing dies, we'll be chiseling in stone. You'll be just watching my old videos, and I'll be posting stuff in announcements if this thing dies. Cool, so now we covered differential equations. We did 2 separation of variables. Both of these problems were separation of variables. Even though the second one was from 9.1, but we introduced separation of variables briefly in 9.1 and then just gave it a whole section 9.3. So, yeah. .3 will be repeated as a lecture when you go into DiffyQ. Apparently I'm teaching 2 sections now of differential equations in the summer, so I think I'm teaching Calc 2 and DiffyQs, and it will be online, obviously. We still don't know for the summer 2 if it's going to be in person or online as well. Summer 1 is definitely online for all classes. So if you signed up for summer 1, just make sure you are still in the class, because lower caps. Our cap for regular class is 30 and the cap for online class is 22. So 8 students were booted and placed in a different section. Now there are no times in a day anymore. So you being booted from one section and shipped to another might just change your professor. So, you know, just go and check if you signed up for any summer courses, if you're staying. Some people also don't want to teach online, so, you know, you might be losing your favorite professor just because the professor doesn't want to teach online in the summer, right? They were signed up for in class and then right? So that can be also something to worry about. So check your registration status. The money should be the same. Everything should stay the same. If there are no further questions, I would really go to shut off the tablet so it can cool off. It is really hot. Tablet is really, really hot at this point. You see it flickering. Can we squeeze one more? Come on. 13 people still online. If you don't have questions now, then maybe you can join the my Microsoft Teams office hour on Friday at 9:30 p.m. So Friday at 9:30 p.m. tomorrow. Can you please, Charles, can you please verify that you do have an email? You should all receive, you should have all received the email in your school Gmail, school mail. You should all have Microsoft Teams invitation to join Microsoft team called Calculus 2 office hours or whatever the hell the title was from me. Okay, Charles got it. I know, a lot of students have it. Yeah, it's RV email. I can't resend it because there is. I can't resend it because it's automatically generated when I add you to the Microsoft Teams. Actually, wait, I can kick you out and add you back in. Let me see if I can do that before this thing explodes. I just have to attach the keyboard. Share? No, I don't want to share. So first, let's see. I'm not sure if you can still hear me. I'm just going to, if you can hear me, I'm still on, obviously. You can type in chat. I just disabled this thing to go to Microsoft Teams and see if I can kick Chris and then invite him again. I don't know. I'm hoping that's the way it goes. Here's the. Thank you. So Teams Calc 2. Just need to find where the members are. I don't know how to use this stuff yet. So Christopher, okay, Christopher, let me just find, where's the list of all the members? Class, notebook, assignments, general. Okay, good, because I can't find where the... There they are. Okay. So, add the channel, manage team, add the member, edit team, manage team. Is it manage team? Members and guests, 26. So 26 of you accepted the email for Teams. Our class was 30. Oh no. Yeah, we do have about 26 people now because we started with 30 and a couple dropped. Yeah. So, Chris, I see you on. All right. So everyone should have access to it. Oh, junk folder? Wow. Okay. Well, it's good that that we sorted that out. I had this cute idea to have a biohazard symbol. But then for some reason it turns out that it's in the middle of the screen. I'm not sure why. Can I do it on top right here? Would it give us nicely? I'm just playing with the biohazard symbol now. Let's see what what this looks like. I'm gonna leave that biohazard symbol right there to mark all of the perfect. All right, great. Oh, I don't have it. Could you send it to me again? I just turned this off. Okay, let's see. All right, guys. I'm going to hop off, turn this to shut it down, to cool it off, and I will resend. I will resend the invite for Cassie, and I will see you tomorrow night. Oh, in the other, not the junk folder, but the other. Yeah, when there is a on your inbox. There is focused on top, and then there is other. So not the junk folder or a trash folder, junk. It's not in junk email, but under other on top. There is a place to switch. Yeah, I miss a whole bunch of rotary stuff this way. It's really annoying with this other and focus. It never filters Nigerian emails. It only filters. I always answer the Nigerian emails. They're a lot of fun. Because it comes from the prince. Yeah, I'm just waiting for Cassie to confirm that she found it. And if not, then I'll just... so it should be just a couple of days. Maybe Tuesday or Monday. Got nothing. That's evil. All right, I'm going to just stay on. I'm going to stay on, try to fix that issue. So here we're just going to go like this. Get just the biohazard image going. So Calc 2, members and guests. Okay, you are officially kicked. And now we add member. lot of people. Okay. Just want to make sure that there are no duplicates in the last name or something. All right, you are on my list here. So I resend it, so you should, yay, great. All right, troops. I will see some of you tomorrow. The rest, just make sure you all log on to Canvas, look for exam 2, and take it. And make sure you take it before it expires on Sunday noon. So Sunday noon is when it expires. So make sure that you start latest at, let's say, 10 a.m. Sunday latest to start. Bye.